paper tearing. So typically your printmaking paper is going to come in 22 by 30. So we're going to be using this clean space over here in the shop to tear our sheets down to the appropriate size for our image. So first off, I never trust the surface that I'm working on, and I want to make sure that I clean up that space to begin with. So I just use some soapy water to wipe down the plexi in the cutting space and make sure that my hands are also clean before touching these sheets of paper. So first off, I need to identify what the front and what the back is of the paper. So on this sheet, I'm using a sheet of Reeves BFK. And it's really easy to tell on this because there's a watermark in the corner. So here it reads in reverse, which lets me know it's the back. And when I can see it where it reads the correct way, then I know that's the front. So I always want to tear from the back of the paper. It also has like a texture, like a weave from the screen that this paper is created on, that I can see as well, but it's a little bit harder to identify than identifying the corner watermark. It only has a watermark in one corner, so I think it is important that you mark, if you're unable to tell the difference between the front and the back of the paper, that you put little marks in pencil in X in those corners, those four corners, so you know those edges. So the paper standard size for printmaking is 22 by 30. There's variation because these are mold made papers by hand that might have a little bit of variance. So I'm tearing a half sheet right now. So I'm marking it at the center at 15 on both ends. I do not need to draw a big line across this because I'm using a straight edge to tear the paper. So I only need those two marks on the ends. Then I'm gonna use the tear bar here. You can also use a ruler, but the tear bar has a nice crisp, sharp edge to it to tear the paper with. So I'm also cleaning that. I basically don't trust that things are clean at any point in time, and I don't want any extra bits on my paper. I want to keep it nice and white. So I'm going to line up those two marks, and then I need to keep pressure on the bar where I'm tearing. So I want to keep really good pressure down, because if this slips, you're going to get a crooked tear. So I just pull the paper towards the bar. You see I'm slowly moving my hand down to make sure that there's pressure at the point that the paper is tearing at all times. So now I have two half sheets at 15 by 22. So if you're working with a smaller image, then you would also need to tear those down into quarters. So I'm gonna split this sheet of paper in half as well. You really want to work within these standard sizes because it ensures that you're not wasting little scraps of paper here and there. So here it's 15 by 22, so I'm going to mark it at the 11 on both ends of the paper. And I'm going to repeat essentially the same process that I did for the last bit. And I would do that for both half sheets. So you need to know your image size and what the most appropriate bit size paper you're using so that you know what you're tearing things down to. Once again, keeping pressure where I'm tearing. And you will also need to tear down as many sheets as you need for whatever your edition size is. So if you're printing an edition of 4, it's probably good to have at least 5 or 6 sheets just in case there's errors in printing. Here again, I'm tearing this next sheet down in half again to 7.5 by 11. Once we start getting much smaller than this, your paper size is pretty small and your image size is pretty small if you're considering borders on your image. So here we have the kind of 3 different sizes that we've torn things down to. So we've got the 7.5 by 11, 11 by 15, and 15 by 22, and then we have the full sheet size of 22 by 30. With almost all our tearing methods, we have to set up registration as well on the paper, so that's the next video.